Yes guys, welcome back to the channel today. Thank you for joining me on my drive home. If you're new here, welcome. This is basically what we do. I will basically be driving home. You can tell this is my way home because I'm a little bit more energy in me. If you enjoy the content, subscribe, have a look around. If you don't, oh well, it's what it is. You know, I can't do much about that apart from try and make better content. So that's enough of intro. I don't like doing my long intros, so we'll get into it. We are going to discuss today the big news coming out of Liverpool, which is Virgil van Dijk and Mo Salah are basically here we go on their contracts. It's not quite there yet, but it seems like it's going to get done. They're going to re-sign. I think Salah's going to get a 2-year deal. I assume Van Dijk might get the same. So big news for them. And yeah, we're just going to have a little chit chat about what that means. But I've got to say, I'm a little bit surprised. First of all, I'm a little bit surprised it's actually happened, and second of all, I'm surprised if it is happening, it's taken so long to happen. I don't know what the hold-up's been. Like, I thought once it hit like April time, I was thinking, surely they're going. Like, you would have announced if they were going to stay by now. Like, the perfect time to announce them staying would have been just before the international break, after the Carabao Cup final. So you've just gone out of the Champions League, just gone out of the Carabao Cup, but don't worry guys, we've signed up Van Dijk and Salah. You know, give the good news to the fans. But it didn't happen, so I was just there like, I don't think they're signing. And I was seeing like PSG linked with Van Dijk, Madrid obviously. I was like, it makes sense. I mean, PSG are doing well. Obviously dumped Liverpool out of the Champions League. And then Salah was obviously having his links abroad, away in Saudi, potentially. I think, yeah, I seen very outlandish ones of like Barcelona, which I just knew wasn't going to happen. But yeah, it seems very odd that they've waited so long to get this done. So someone's obviously gone, all right, fine, we'll give in. And apparently, on Salah's side of it, apparently Salah's come back on like Liverpool's offer and agreed to reduce his terms. So whether or not he wanted a 3-year deal or something, he's had to reduce it down to a 2-year deal. Maybe that's what's happened. And I think it's no coincidence maybe that Salah's form has had a little bit of a downtick. So maybe he's lost some negotiation power along the way. Yeah, obviously that's just conjecture. I have no idea what's going on with it, but yeah, I just figured it's a very odd time for it to come out that they're going to re-sign. It's probably because of the leaks that Trent's had in terms of him leaving. They wanted to nip it in the bud and get the speculation done with. What does it mean for Liverpool? I mean, I think I saw Paul Merson say on Sky Sports they've signed £100 million worth of players, and it's true. They've kept themselves financially there. That is over £100 million worth of players. Realistically, they would have been losing even at their ages. I think Van Dijk is still worth like, he's probably worth about 50-60 mil, and same for Salah. So even at their age, you're basically refreshing that value again, and it means they don't have to replace them. So it gives them a bit more freedom, and obviously Slot wants to keep them, which makes sense. I look at Van Dijk, and I think him signing might just clear the way for Konate to leave, because there's links with Konate going to PSG. He's obviously got a year left in his deal, and apparently PSG have basically said, look, we'll make you captain if you come to us. So I think that one you might see that will happen out of 50 mil. And I think their logic with it will literally be, look, we've signed Van Dijk up, we've spent X amount of them on his wages, we can recoup that through the sale of Konate. I don't necessarily agree with the logic, because Konate's been immense for them, but it would not surprise me if you saw Konate leaving now. And I think they'll be selling some of their forwards as well, because I was looking at it, and Liverpool, their forwards kind of, well, they don't stink, but they have been struggling. Like, Diaz has got like 3 goals I think in 18 games. Jota's got like 1 in however many. Yeah, they're all a bit just misfiring. Same for Nunez. Chiesa obviously hasn't hit the ground running, so you're looking at it, if Salah were to go, and it's like, you're really struggling then for informed forwards. So don't be, I say don't be surprised if you do see a Luis Diaz move on this summer. I think they'll sell Nunez to Saudi. I think that's going to come back round. I think he might offload a Jota, because you just can't trust him to be fit. So I think you have to keep some stability. So I think he likes Gakpo. So I think Gakpo will remain on that left wing. He obviously likes Salah. So then it means it's one less position to change. Does it mean maybe they're not going to go for Isak? I think maybe it indicates that, because if they're spending this much on keeping these players, obviously it means that they're signing big contracts. These guys are on 400, 300, whatever it is a week. If it's over 2 years, you're spending 50 mil at least on them. I'd love to do the maths in my head real quick. 400 mil a week. That's 4 mil. 6 times 12. 16. You're spending like, yeah, that was quite close, yeah. You're spending like 50 mil on them put together. Just had to do some quick maths there. So that's already 50 million out of the kitty, which Liverpool don't normally spend that much money. I know that they've got a lot of money from like finish top in the Champions League and obviously Premier League, and more Champions League money come in. So they might look at it and go, look, we can probably afford Isak still. I don't think they will. I think it'll be interesting to see who they do go for though, to partner up with Salah to take some of the burden off his shoulder, because Slot's going to want to sign his own sort of striker now. And he clearly doesn't like Jota or Nunez, because he's been preferring Diaz up front. So that wouldn't. I think Diaz is more of an Isak mould striker. So maybe I could see Acuna playing well under Slot. I think that would be a good striker to pick up for them. Even though I would love to take him to Arsenal, I think that sort of mould of striker is the sort of one that Slot likes. Almost like a Gabriel Jesus sort of one. So you can play false nine, but he's got a finish on him as well, maybe. But in terms of what it means as well going forward, I think Van Dijk has been Liverpool's saviour at times at the back, and we were obviously looking at the defence as well, like potentially Trent going, Robertson. There's calls for him to get essentially moved on, but I don't think he'll get moved on. I think what happened with Robertson is they'll phase him out. You know, they'll go and buy a Kirkes or Robinson. I think it's most likely going to be Kirkes from the sounds of it. 50 mil, buy Kirkes, and then sort of phase Robertson out. You know, play half games each. Robertson maybe plays 20, Kirkes plays 30 or something like that. That won't surprise me at all. But then still, that's a big change to happen as well. So you got Trent, Robertson, and then you would have had Van Dijk and potentially Konate. You could have had all four. You could have literally had all four completely changing. So I think it definitely provides a bit of stability there. I think if you've got Van Dijk in your defence, you're already winning basically. Like, you already have an upper hand. I just think he's that good. I know I speak to Arsenal fans the other day, and obviously they're raving like Gabriel being the best defender in the world this season. And I don't like disagree harshly. Like I'm not opposed to it completely, but I still go like Van Dijk is still the best for me. Like it's Liverpool have sometimes defended on like a string basically. Like they've left Van Dijk with like nothing basically around him. He's just bare. It's just Van Dijk. Like I'm trying to say, he's being pulled like a piece of elastic so far that he's done amazing not to snap at some point, because they've pushed him right to the limit at times this season with the way they play. The amount of times you see it in a game where like the Van Dijk, it would literally just be Van Dijk at the back basically. And my point was that when Van Dijk hasn't played well, which is like the last 2 games against Fulham and Everton, Liverpool have lost, or they've not picked up more points. You know, the 2 mistakes that Van Dijk did, say for the mistakes, he got driven past twice, the other team scored, because he was that last man. And I know someone's going to say, centre back, of course he's last man, but I mean the way he reads the game, you know, he saves them so often. I think Slot knows that. I think Liverpool know that, and I think that's not something you lose with age. So it makes sense to keep him on board, and especially if they're going to have to go and buy a young centre half. I say young, but I think they're linked with Gahey as well. Obviously, Hoyson's being linked with them, but I think that's the sort of player they're going to be going after. And I think Van Dijk makes any defender better next to him. That's the key thing. I think that's what Saliba's going to gain in the future as well. I think he's started to show it, Saliba, with Kiwior next to him. But I think that's what separates Van Dijk right now, is he makes other defenders around him look so much better. Like Matip, like I remember the season where they won the Champions League. Everyone was like, "Oh, Matip's unreal. He's been our best defender. He's been Liverpool's best defender." That's quite Liverpool fans. Don't take that as me being a fake fan. But anyway, yeah, they were saying, "Oh, he's their best defender," and it's like, no, he wasn't. He just made it look like it because he's next to Van Dijk. He made him take levels above. So I think the Van Dijk one is crucial. Whether it's enough to keep them in the Premier League, it could be. It could be enough to keep them at the top of the Premier League. Whether Salah could produce the same numbers next season, I don't know. Only time can tell. You'd be crazy to bet against him, but his form over the last 4 or 5 games is a bit poor. You know, he hasn't performed at the same level. He looks a bit off it. Yeah, I don't know why it is really, but he's got the contract now, so time will tell whether or not it's the correct decision for Liverpool to give him it. But I think if you'd have lost all 3 or even 2 out of 3 in Liverpool, it would have looked pretty embarrassing. So I think it's worked out how everyone expected it to work out, with the 2 elder ones signing and then letting Trent go. What does it mean for their transfer strategy in the summer? I don't expect. Maybe they still go after a 6. They'll definitely be signing the striker. I think they'll definitely be signing the left back. Maybe they'll get a right back in who can play centre back or something like that, like a flexible right back, so that they're not relying on Conor Bradley completely because his injury issues are a bit hit and miss. But I think overall it's just very positive for Liverpool, and it's quite annoying being an Arsenal fan seeing the news come through that they both signed him, because they are massive players, and you know they're probably 2 of the top 3 players in the league. They're definitely the top players in their position. Xhaka isn't quite Salah's level yet. They're in the same bracket, but he's not quite putting out the stats and the figures that Salah is. So yeah, time will tell if it was the correct decision. I think Van Dijk is not even a debate for me. Salah's the one where you look at it and go, maybe if he loses the yard of pace in the next year, he could come back to bite him. But I think you can't argue with the stats. I was saying Liverpool crazy for not signing them up, so I can't talk really, because I think you had to sign them both up. It's gonna be interesting to see how the rest of the season unfolds now for Liverpool, with these guys signed up completely. How Slot, because obviously Slot's basically on the league now. I think Slot will be looking at the team now and playing different players to see who he actually wants to keep. Like, he's going to be trying them out. So I expect to see some players getting dropped who have been playing more. So like a Luis Diaz, you might see him miss out a few more times because maybe he doesn't fancy keeping him. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how Liverpool go forward from it and how they react to the transfer window. And maybe Trent going now will take a bit of the cameras off Liverpool a little bit. I think it's very positive for them, unfortunately. But at the end of the day, it's good for the league to have the best players in the world playing in the league. You know, if we lost Van Dijk to PSG and Salah to the Saudi league, it's just like you'd be losing them 2 and Kevin De Bruyne. From the league's perspective, it's massive. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I think. I don't think there's anything else to really discuss about it. Yeah, it's just very positive for Liverpool. Fair play to them. Like I said, it's very weird that they've only just announced it. but something must have been holding it up. Clearly there was a stumbling block somewhere. I think it's probably going to be to do with the length of the contracts more so than the pay, although apparently Salah's also willing to take a pay cut, which seems fair play to him, but I don't believe the story as much as anything. I think it's more going to be to do with the years with them being at their age. Yeah, I think Liverpool need to learn from this though, because they are having the same issue with Konate next, and that's going to be the big one in the summer to watch. I think I would not be surprised if you see him move on now, and people will go, "Oh, it's fine. We've got Van Dijk. We've kept a hold of him," and it's like, yeah, but Konate is going to be one of the top centre halves in the world, if not already is, in like 2 years' time. Like, I think when Van Dijk is in 2 years' time, when Van Dijk's contract expires, you would ideally want Konate to be taken over for him. I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're going to let him go in the summer because they've got Van Dijk sealed. But like I said, I think it sets the tone for Liverpool's transfer window. It makes them a bit more stable going forwards, and that whole turmoil looks like to be over. I've said before, expect Liverpool to be very active this summer. I expect them to be making four or five signings and letting go of 3 or 4 players. I think that was the key thing when Slot came in, that he would look at his squad. He's had a whole season with them now. He knows who he wants, he knows who he doesn't want. You can kind of tell who he fancies and who he doesn't. So you're going to see quite a few ingoings and outgoings here, I think. But yeah, that is all for today. Thank you guys for joining me. Not quite home, but you know, you got me halfway. Yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please leave a comment down below or a like. I'd love to have a like. I don't really get them. Yeah, anyway, I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.